Hey everybody, welcome back to ChortleCast. I'm Jake, and alongside me, as always, the Stream King, the Far Cry guy, Star Wars big boy, Steven. He's here. Thank you, Steven.
I feel like I look tired or angry. Do I look tired or angry right now?
You look like you, which is
okay,
so you're always
both
tired and angry. So yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Whew. Well, today has been a rough day for me as well. I've been shooting all day, moving a bunch of stuff around, so I'm sweaty. I didn't even change shirts. I'm a Dumbo. Oh well, we're here. We're making it happen. In case you didn't, what'd you say?
I said that's gross.
So gross. I didn't even change from my sweaty clothes. Anyway, if you didn't know, this is ChortleCast, the official podcast of Chortle Games, where we talk about video games, TV shows, movies, anime, whatever the heck we want to talk about. And today, we've got a great show for you. A lighter week. Last week was E3. A lot of news, video game news, just splushed everywhere. So we're in the aftermath now, and so it's been quiet. But we have learned some new things about some games that were announced and some fleshed out information. So we're going to be talking about Anthem. We're going to go in a deep dive about Anthem here in a minute. We've gotten a lot of new information out of that. We're going to talk about Overwatch teasing a new character. We're going to talk about GameStop possibly being bought out, or basically they're just trying to sell themselves to anybody who will buy them. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some games we've been playing. And that's what we're going to do first. So, Steven, there's a little game that you've been streaming on the channel for a while called Detroit that I have beaten and you have beaten, but we played basically a completely different game. So let's talk about it.
So just for the record, a lot of the decisions I made specifically because you didn't make them.
Yes, this is true.
I was trying to throw you for a curve at some spots so I could be like, Jake's going to be fresh on this just like me. But it was so good. Like I have no shortage of glowing things to say about that game.
It was so much fun, and like there is something special about going back through the game and seeing how things would be different. I mean, obviously you could look through like on YouTube and see like, oh, what was the choice there? Something that's like way too ambitious for me to have time to do that I think would be cool would be to play through the game in every possible scenario, but to edit a video where like at each choice, you in that moment it shows like, okay, if you chose A, here's what's happening. If you chose B, here's what's going to happen, and like show that path in each choice moment. It's way too ambitious to do. Someone else wants to take that idea, go right ahead. I don't have the time to do it, but so yeah, no, it was exciting for me to watch you stream because you did things differently than I did. There were some choices that you made that I was just like, I have no idea why you would do that. Like the shooting the android prostitutes. Spoilers for Detroit, by the way. I'm sorry. Which I guess you could have played the game differently and not even know what we're talking about.
Someone's going to listen to this or watch this and be like, there's android prostitute shooting, unsub.
I can't
not
believe
buying this game.
I can't believe I didn't know about this. But yeah, anyway, yeah, you shot them, and I was just like, why? Why did he shoot him? Why did he shoot him? And you were like,
because
they were attacking me, Jake. I had no other choice.
Like, come on, I didn't shoot the deviant. Well, I shot they were both deviant. I didn't shoot the assailant, like the one that I was after. So I thought, and I knew what they were going for. I was like, oh, they're probably in love or something, but I don't care if they're trying to kill me and my partner.
They were in love, Steven, and if you hadn't shot, they would have told you how much they love each other. It would have made Hank think, man, you know what? I really think androids are people. And then it would have all been different. But no, Steven shot him.
There was another love that was happening called brotherly love that I was feeling with Hank, my partner, and he was in danger. So
you let Hank die, by the way.
Didn't let him.
No, you did. You completely screwed that up. That was a horrible, horrible scenario.
So in that moment, I knew that I probably could have saved him and everything, but I wanted to do something more unique. So yeah. I wanted to see what would happen if I didn't shoot the guy. I wanted to see if how that would play out, and I was really happy with the way it played out because the whole body transfer moment. Everyone, based on what everyone has said that watched the stream, they said that the body transfer moment was the best part of the entire stream. I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, that was cool.
But it was really cool. But just when Hank, because Hank lived for your playthrough, And then in my playthrough, Hank is there and we've reconciled. We're on good terms still. And then he says, I'm going to go see my son again.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I've wanted. And it was like, oh my God. Like, in that moment, it was like, I felt bad that Hank was dying, but at the same time, it was like, it felt right.
Right.
Like, and I'm sure in your playthrough, it felt right too.
Yeah, in my playthrough, we found out, like, we had to do the whole, like, questionnaire of, like, who's the real Connor? And so Hank was, like, drilling us with questions. And at a certain point, he you know, it's like, he could be saying, I knew that too, you know, whatever. So it was like, he's got to get a question that only the real Connor could ask. And so he says, what's my son's name? And I was like, well, shit, Hank, you haven't said your son's name, so I don't know. And so I don't know how they did this. I don't know this for sure because I only did this once. But it gives you 4 names for his son. I think Cole was the one I picked. And it just sounded the most right. Like, I don't know why. I was like, I swear I've seen that somewhere. So I said Cole, and Hank turned and shot the other Connor. And so I was like, great, I did it. But I could be wrong here, but I think any answer would have been correct. It was just like, you just name his son. Because I don't think he ever said it. I could be wrong, but...
But didn't the fake Connor have all of your memories?
I still don't get it, Steven. I don't understand. I
like mine better.
I assume that it was not given knowledge, and so he was expecting the real Connor with emotion to be able to figure it out. But I have no idea. I remember being like, that was a really risky question for me, but whatever. Anywho, yeah, no, it was great. After seeing your playthrough, I really want to see what would be. I don't think. So the big difference between how you and I played was you went violent with, well, pretty much you went more violent than I did. Period. But
I only went violent at the very end.
Well, I know, but you shot the androids before as Connor and all this and that. Anyway, all I'm saying is did you shoot the person running out of the newsroom?
No.
Okay.
As Marcus, I was completely pacifist until the very end.
Okay. Well, anyway. The violent way that yours ended was a lot different.
It was awesome.
It was different in how it played through, but the results were the same either way. You guys won, Detroit becomes an android nation, and you roll on through. I think really the big difference in how the game's going to end comes through Connor. If Connor joins Marcus versus if Connor doesn't join Marcus. And we didn't see that path either way. Because I didn't do that. You didn't do that. So that's the only thing that I still want to see more of. But Kara, I think we both played fairly similar.
So I thought about it. And I don't think it would have been as simple as keeping the tickets that we found. Because they were doing body scans for people getting on the bus. And so I feel like even if we had gotten on the bus, we would have been found out. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel as bad about Luther dying anymore. I feel terrible, but
there is a way that he survives. I don't know how it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it goes. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to say. Kara was my favorite out of the whole deal. Yours was probably Connor, right?
I liked playing Connor the most. But by the end of the game, I don't know. I feel like Marcus has less personality because everything he says and does is so dependent on what you choose. So he's less of a character and more of a surrogate for you. I liked Connor the best. I think Connor had the best arc. But the of the final acts, I loved playing as Marcus going violent. Not because I was going violent, but because it was just a really cool action set piece. And like the parts where I've got the gun and then I'm crouched down and I see all the different android battalions around and I can command them. Like it was one of those things where it was like, this is all button prompts, but it does not feel as much like button prompts. It felt really cool. So that was fun to play.
Yeah, see, mine was probably more stressful because I was not going violent, And as Marcus, what you're seeing was telling people to charge and shooting at people. Mine was like doing backflips in the Matrix, kicking trash cans in front of people so they don't get shot. Like, I was going Super Saiyan, just trying to protect everyone without killing anybody. And then they finally get us all cornered, and I'm with North, who I had a romantic relationship with, which you definitely did not. You shot her as soon as you had the opportunity.
I didn't shoot her. I let her.
You left her to die. That was a funny moment in the stream too, because it was just you know what I should do? I should have done a super cut of like all the times y'all hated on North, and then cut to when it's like save North, and you're like no, run away.
I think that
I should have done a super cut
reaction.
to that, but maybe I will. Anyway, so they corner us. And it's me standing next to North, and it gave me a bunch of options. Like, you can either sing, you can raise hands, you can do whatever. But since I had a romantic relationship with North, it gave me the option to kiss her. And so they kiss, and then the people put their guns down and walk away.
That's lame.
But what ultimately made us win was that Connor got all the other androids together, and that's what the president makes her decision based off.
And then you had a whole army of androids making out, scaring off.
Pretty much. We're a loving nation, the nation of androids. Yeah. But yeah, that's really it. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it posed some really interesting choices.
It did a really. I don't understand why it's not getting more praise than it is, because everything I see, it's just like, oh, it's okay, but the story is so well done. It's so well crafted. The visuals are great. It takes on the discussion of racism in a very unique way that's hard to look at, but in a way that's very...
I hadn't thought about it at that angle, because they're basically, as Miles said in another video, Texist. They're being very Texist towards the androids.
I mean, the stuff like segregation on the buses... The fact that they don't even see them as human. Like, they don't see them as individuals. They just see them as objects. Is like, dang. It was a really cool way to modernize the topic of racism and show... I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. I hadn't even thought about it in that regard. But, yeah, that's very, very much what's going on. But anyway, so yeah, that's one that just now that Steven's beaten, we haven't had a chance to talk about. So there you go. So done with spoilers for Detroit now. Let's move on. So I've been playing the Octo expansion for Splatoon 2. Very fun, very challenging, but ultimately very rewarding. You get an Octoling character that you can play as. So I've got an Octoling boy who's got the cool little tentacle mohawk haircut that looks really neat, and I like it. And they're not like any better than the Squid Kids. It's just a different look to have, but I like it. You get some sweet armor. If you beat a certain number of levels, you get some sweet armor for your Splatoon kid. And but yeah, the challenges that they give you are really hard. So basically, you're in a deep sea metro train, and that's like the area that you're in, but there's all these different tracks, and you can get off at certain platforms and do almost Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild like shrines, but they're like Splatoon challenges. And so it can be anything from like guiding an 8-ball using ink to a certain point, or, you know, getting in a cannon and shooting boxes. And there's one part where you have to fight enemies while on breakable boxes. Like, your platform is all breakable boxes. So as you kill enemies with ink, you're breaking the ground so that eventually you're going to fall. So it's like kill the enemies before you run out of ground. So there's some really, really cool levels in there. But I am not the best platformer in Splatoon. And there are some really, really challenging ones that I don't know how I made them through. And the great thing is you can skip them. You can like, you get in-game currency. I think it's called CQ points in this area. And after a certain point of failing a mission, you get the option to pay the price to try it again, but to skip it. So like, for instance, because you pay to do a level. So if you pay 500 CQ points to participate in a level, you lose it enough times, you can pay 500 to just skip it. So financially wise, it's probably smarter to just skip. But I was trying to get, I wasn't sure if it was going to eventually start penalizing you, because getting armor you get by completing lines. So all the metro train lines have levels. If you complete a whole line, you get a piece of armor. And so I was afraid that at some point they were going to be like, you skipped every level on this line, we're not giving you this piece of armor. And I was going to be like, no. So anyway, but I don't think that happens. I think you can just skip them all and still get the armor, which is kind of lame. There was one line that I had skipped one thing and I got the armor, no problem. I never had to do that again, so I can't confirm that. But anyway, yeah, the armor's cool. Levels are fun. Probably the best thing is after you beat the main campaign, and that's how you get your Octoling in the game. The story was really cool because it kind of expanded the lore. We ended up fighting this. Whoa. Slight spoilers. Well, if you care any about the story, you end up fighting this human. It's an AI telephone that looks like an old-timey telephone, but it's an AI from when humans were still in control of the Splatoon world. And so the AI hates squids because they killed humans or something like that. And so he's like, this telephone android has built a machine to kill the squids because they killed humanity off or something like that. So anyway, it was very, very interesting.
Splatoon was so dark.
It was it was just this. Like it's never been that dark. But anyway, it was great story. But when you finish that, if you go back to that area, the Sea Cucumber, his name's Sea Cucumber. He's the director of the train. He tells you there's certain platforms that have special coins. And so you go to those, and all you have to do is talk to him. You don't even have to beat the level. Like some of them, there were levels that I hadn't beaten, but I had access to. So I just went, talked to him, got the coin, and left. That coin, you can go to a vending machine, and it'll give you a bunch of stuff for the main game, like for the main multiplayer part. So like, it gave me like $20,000 or something like that, and then it gave me like I think 24,000 total, but it was like in different points. It gives you stuff to like experience boost. It gave you like money earning boost, all sorts of stuff that you can use in the multiplayer aspect. So it was worth it. It was worth it for the rest of the game. So, but anyway, yeah, I've been playing that. And then Steven, you've been playing a little bit of Division.
Yeah, I'm back into it. I'm trying to force people to get into it with me.
I keep meaning to go to GameStop and pick it up, but I just haven't done it yet.
I have been talking to Friendly Fire Games, our brother channel, as Vlad called them, so I'm going to call them that. They might be playing some with us, so we may be doing some Division streams in the future. But really, I'm just gearing up towards Division 2 because they released the first 4 shields, which shields are basically these big challenges you can do to get really good gear in the first game and then exclusive cosmetic stuff in the second game.
Interesting. Okay.
So as you're doing them, so like you have to complete 4 shields to get the first bonus for 2, and then so on and so on. They released 4 so far, and they're releasing more every 30 days, I believe. So they're hard. they're some of them aren't. Like one of them is defeat 10 named bosses in Dark Zone, Manhattan, and West Side Pier, which isn't hard. It just takes a little bit of time. But if you play the game, you'll get that done. But then there's others like they data mined the rest of them, and if these are true, one of them is complete every single story mission on Legendary mode.
Jeez.
Yeah, which I think we may have beaten 1 on Legendary mode, and it took us a ridiculous number of tries. It's a lot of stuff that basically is saying, hey, master every facet of this game. which I'm okay with. It's reason to play it. It's more things to do. But I'm going to be doing that between now. Well, not between now. Between whenever I start playing it a lot more and the release of Division 2. But right now, I'm playing another game. This is just MMO Light Day, apparently, on the ChortleCast.
Are you about to talk about Destiny? Yeah. Me and Steven have both been playing Destiny. He finally got it. We've done a stream. Since then. Basically, we're playing through the game, and we've already done one stream, but we're going to kind of reset a little bit. We're basically going to play through the whole story again because I want to redo my Hunter, and Steven wants to do a Titan character.
Never played a Titan before, so we're going to
Yeah. So we're going to be replaying through the whole story to kind of just reset ourselves for Forsaken. And then along the way, we're going to be doing some other stuff like Thursday, last night, we streamed some Destiny Iron Banner. So we're going to be possibly streaming some other stuff that we're doing, like weeklies, and if there's Iron Banner or what's the other thing where the faction rallies, we may be streaming some of that, or even strikes, heroic strikes, stuff like that. We're going to be streaming a lot of Destiny lately, coming up to the Forsaken release in September. But Steven, you have been really pumped because Forsaken is bringing some new supers, some new trees for each class. Talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you've found out and heard about. I just care about bows. There's bows. That's all. I'm sold. I paid the $40 for the bows.
They were like, "Hey, here's bows," and he was like, "I don't even need to see how they play. I'm buying the game."
I was like, "Here you go. I'm sold. Take my money and run."
So for me, my problem was with every single class and subclass combination I played. So there were some that were like, "Oh, that's really cool," but the rest of the class was like, "Eh." Like the Warlock with their riffs for the Stormcaller. That was pretty cool, but then it was like, I don't care about the melee or the super. I just care about the riffs. With the Hunter, it was like Night Stalker, the bow. They don't synergize well anymore with what I want to do, but the bow's really cool, but the grenade isn't great. It's just been, there hasn't been my perfect scenario yet. And then yesterday, well, I guess Wednesday. So Wednesday, I'm at work, and I'm curious with these new supers, because each subclass is getting a new super ability, and we've seen snippets of each one.
So yeah, it's each. So like a Titan is getting 3 new supers.
9 new supers in total.
Yeah.
3 per class, 1 per subclass.
Yeah, okay.
So I was looking through, because I was curious. The Dawnblade, which is the fire solar warlock. I saw in one of the trailers, they used their super and they took their fire sword and stuck it in the ground next to a Titan with his bubble shield. And so I heard speculation. They were like, oh yeah, they're getting a Mega Rift for their super. And I was like, okay, yeah, Mega Rift, that sounds cool, because I like the rifts on the warlock, so then I can have a class ability and a super that I like. That's all I expected. And when I went looking on Wednesday, Jake...
Yeah, this is a great story. I'm loving this.
I hit the gold mine. Because I was reading, it was like, okay, let's walk through everything that is... It's basically confirmed. This guy on Reddit...
He just analyzed the footage that they had already shown us.
Yeah.
And basically kind of talked through why he thinks this is going to do what it should.
A lot of it's proven. Like,
right.
A lot of it is visually happening. Like, this used gameplay from different developer diaries and stuff to show all this. First, they started with the melee ability. It was like, when you hit an enemy with a melee, increase your damage, your weapon damage, and nearby allies' weapon damage by 15% or something. Mm-hmm. Which I was like, oh wow, that's really cool. That's some offensive support. That's something I want. And this is before I knew that the Mega Rift was confirmed. So, gosh, my hair is annoying me. So I was like, okay, cool. The melee thing, at least I've got that. And then he was like, okay, let's talk about the grenade. This new Dawnblade tree can hold down the button to charge their grenades into healing grenades, which basically it allows them to throw a rift. It's like a mini rift that they can throw. And so I saw that and I was like, oh shoot. When I saw that, that's the point where my jaw dropped, and I was stunned because I was like, oh no, I got rifts, I got the melee offense support, and then I've got healing support through the grenade.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to be throwing grenades at me to heal me.
Oh yeah,
great.
It's gonna be great. And then they also get a passive that allows if they ever give a ally an overshield, an offensive support buff, or an ally is hit with their healing grenade, I think is what it is. Their ability recharge rate skyrockets.
Like yours or the person you hit?
Mine.
Okay.
So like, for example, I think they said that... I've been doing a lot of research for this game, so I may have my wires crossed here. But I think they said that based on what they were proccing, they had their grenade back within the amount of time the healing grenade was gone.
Wow. That's awesome.
Really fast. And so I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have all my abilities back really quick. I won't even need Starfire Protocol anymore. I can actually look cool. And then they talked about the Rift. It's called Well of Radiance, I believe. The Dawnblade takes their sword, sticks it in the ground to create a large rift that heals at a faster rate than healing rifts, increases ally weapon damage by 30%, and rumored increases the cooldown rate of allies' abilities.
That's awesome.
And I read all this and I was like, this is literally everything I've wanted from this game. And I know I'm taking a really long time to talk about this, but this is such a big deal for me because this is the thing that it's been missing for me.
Right.
Like, playing through Destiny again before knowing all of that, I realized everything that I loved about the game. The gunplay is top-notch. The music is great. The story's still really good. The activities are a bit lacking, but ultimately what I was missing was my playstyle.
Right.
And now it's there. It's coming in September, and it cannot get here soon enough. I'm so excited.
I'm just happy that Steven's excited because I've loved this game since it came out because this was my first Destiny. And so I've just been wanting people to play it. Like, me and Steven have basically played it every night this week together, and I'm loving it. I just want to be back in this game so bad, and so I'm just glad I have a crew to roll with. We started a Chortle clan.
Yes.
It's called the Chortle Games Clan, right?
It's Chortle Games right now.
Okay, it's just Chortle Games. Yes. But yeah, you can search us. So if you're jumping into Destiny and you're a fan of us and you want to hang, join the clan, and we'll hang out together. We'll take out some baddies.
And if you would like an invite to the clan, because I don't know if the settings, I'll go through the settings tonight to, I guess, make it open. But I don't know if you can request to join it.
Right.
So for now, if you would like to join the clan, comment below with your PlayStation account name, and I will send you an invite.
There you go. All right, let's dive into some news. Was there anything else you needed to talk about with Destiny?
Well, I mean, other than just, I guess, the stuff... We talked about bows and the subclass stuff. I do have a little more information about Forsaken as a whole.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So Forsaken is going to start apparently with a prison break, where the Prison of Elders, which, Jake, you didn't play Destiny 1.
No.
The Prison of Elders was a place in the Reef, which is the home of the Awoken. It was the Horde mode that Miles, Brody, and I loved.
Okay, that sounds awesome.
It was what we played the most. It was so awesome because it like dropped you in and like all three of you were standing there with your guns, and it was a really good way to get loot. So the Prison of Elders, there's a prison break. So you and Cade go to deal with it, and apparently, you hunt down various people that have escaped, and you can hunt them in any order, is what I've heard.
Okay.
As like a different, I guess it's more quest oriented rather than just mission A through C. At some point, we do know, and this is not a spoiler, Cade dies. And I hate that because Cade is so great. I love him. But I'm over here thinking they really catered an expansion for me because it's stylized to be like an Old West revenge story. The city which the raid takes place is styled to look like an elvish city, basically, like from Middle Earth.
Right.
And it looks really cool. It's about Cade, and I've been wanting to kill Prince Uldren since the first game, and so it's like, Prince Uldren just killed Cade, Steven, what are you going to do about it? Well, obviously I'm going to spend the $40 to buy this expansion so I can kill the crap out of him. That's all they needed to tell me.
Right.
I was going to buy it even without the Well of Radiance subclass, is the funny thing.
Now you just have a reason to buy it and keep it.
I have a reason to play this game now, and to keep playing it. But it sounds like, they say it's bigger than Taken King. Which Taken King was the expansion that fixed Destiny 1.
Right.
If that is the case here, I'm on board. I'm all for it. The one thing that people have noticed that they're complaining about is that skill trees are still a thing to where they're set and you can't mix and match, which I dislike, but whatever. I've got a skill tree that I like enough to main, so I'm not going to complain much more about it. But that's the only gripe that I've seen. Everything else looks great. I'm really excited. September 4th.
September 4th. What did I say, 7th?
I think so.
That must be Spider-Man or something. I'm getting my wires crossed.
Oh, shoot. Spider-Man's coming. Oh, man.
Yeah, September 4th is Destiny. September 7th is Spider-Man. It's my bad. Too much happening in September. The universe loves me. All right, let's jump into some news. So the first bit that I want to talk about is Overwatch is teasing. They're teasing, Steven. They're teasing a new... I believe they're teasing one of two things. They're teasing a new character, the 28th character, or they're teasing a new location. So they tweeted today this image, and basically it looks like an alleyway in a street, like in an alley, and it's got graffiti all over the wall. It's got Lucario, not Lucario. Shoot, I can't think of his name now.
Who are you trying to think of?
The guy with the sonic pulse, and it starts with an L.
Lucio.
Lucio, thank you.
I don't play this game, Jake.
It's got a graffiti of Lucio and some other stuff going on, but it's just mostly graffiti. You see a lot of like one of the big like lore pieces in Overwatch is the whole like Omnibots or whatever, the robots. Like there was like this big war against the robots, and people are kind of Texas, if you will, against robots and everything. But there's also some graffiti of this space monkey and this space dog. And then on top of that is some stuff talking about the Horizon, the lunar landing, which is it's like a special map. I forget. It's like you can only get there in certain game modes. But anyway, it was a map that they showed a while back. And that was also the first time that we ever heard about Hammond, who a lot of us have thought is going to be a space monkey, much like Winston is a space ape from up there. Winston sided with the humans and escaped to Earth. And then we think Hammond was one of the monkeys that stayed up in the lunar Horizon lunar colony. So anyway, he's been teased for a while now, but now they just did this, and it was a video. It was like 6 seconds long, and it just sounds like a street. So I feel like they're gonna come out probably if history should show itself, it's probably gonna be Tuesday. They're probably gonna come out and say, "Hey, here's Hammond, the new character, and here's a new map to go with him," or something. That's what I'm kind of thinking is gonna happen. But anyway, it's either going to be a new character or this new map. And it's in this map, I don't know where it would be, but it looks like it would be a more urban setting, which we've had a couple urban settings. So I don't know exactly what would be different about this area. But most things that I've read about it are talking about, oh, look, it's going to be Hammond, but it could also be a map, but no one really knows what the map could be. So, I mean, they don't really give us a lot of information about the map other than it could be an urban kind of city setting. So anywho, that's exciting. I always love to hear new Overwatch news. So yeah. Steven, do you have Overwatch yet? You've just played off my version, right?
Yes. I don't hate it.
Right. It's just not for you.
Like it. It's not for me. Like I respect Blizzard as always. It's a good game. It is the top tier of what it is. Mm-hmm. But what it is, usually don't want anything to do with.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to play some more Overwatch now that I'm sitting here talking about it. All right. The other story, we like I said, this is kind of a slow week, so we're kind of, I wouldn't say scratching the bottom of the barrel yet, but we're a little bit there. So GameStop, one of the big video game retailers, is looking for a buyer. So I'm reading off of GameSpot here, but basically GameStop is looking for someone to buy. And that's really all you need to know. I'm skimming through this real quick. They're just looking for someone to buy. They've dropped their sales percentage has dropped 32% over the last 12 months. I say sales percent, stock. Their stock has slid more than 32% over the last 12 months. And I mean, we've heard for a while, just people different. I've heard at least on different podcasts and such, talking about how GameStop is just kind of in a losing battle. We've seen them buy ThinkGeek so that they have more merch in store. And it's, I don't know for sure what is causing this, but I'd have to say that it's digital sales and then Amazon.
It's digital Amazon, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing that just recently sunk Toys R Us. Because the digital market or the online market is just, it's just too much, man. Like, really the only reason people have to go to GameStop, the reason they haven't sunk right now is because you do have those people that don't know what they want. They go in and they want a I worked at GameStop, so I've got, like when we worked there, my manager always told us, help them get, like, don't try to sell them for something they don't want. Have them walk out this door with what they would want, because that's what separates us from Walmart, which is right down the street. And the trade-ins as well.
Yeah, that's my big thing is trade-ins. Like, that's the only reason I usually even go in there. That or to buy used games for cheaper. Like I've got a GameStop Pro membership or whatever. But I pretty much just use it to get Game Informer magazines. Like, that's just my shortcut to getting that. And then, yeah, the occasional trade-in or pre-owned buy that I want to do. That's the only reason I go in. Occasionally T-shirts. They have great... The Think Geek elements of the store are awesome. But it's just not good enough to uphold.
I feel like a lot of it is just people don't understand. Like, they're trying really hard to give people a reason to go, but a lot of people just aren't hearing it. For example, when South Park: The Fractured Butthole came out, I knew it was going to be a game that somebody would trade in within a week. So I waited a week. And because I have an Elite Pro card, which gives you 20% off of pre-owned games, I got a $60 title for, I think, under $42. And that happens all the time.
But see, if you were an Amazon Prime member, you could have gotten it day of for $47. So you only save $5 there.
Yeah, but you also
and you can buy anything else you want on Amazon.
But you get the warranty for a week, so you can play it, beat it, and then give it back.
That's true. That's true.
Which doesn't help the company at all, because then they have to give you the money back. But
yeah, I don't know. It's sad. I'm more upset about this going than I am the Toys R Us. I mean, obviously as a kid, I liked going to Toys R Us, but like I don't have the emotional attachment that I think some other people had, and we're sad to see it go. But GameStop, even though,
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, even though I hardly go anymore, that's definitely a hit more in my wheelhouse than that other one was.
I still go to GameStop. I still get my games from GameStop. Any of my $60 titles, I get them there because it helps keep my my rewards card afloat, so that I can just renew my next year of membership with my points that I've earned from the games that I've bought there. I like the company there. The people at my store are really nice. They're really cool. It's just one of those things that it's a harsh reality that it's a matter of time before GameStop goes, unless if they learn to adapt real quick, but I don't see that happening.
Well, and that's just the thing. They've been adapting for the last year, And if they're looking for a buyer, that means it's not working. I wish somebody like Walmart would buy them and like incorporate that,
integrate them
into it, because you're right. I mean, one of the key selling points are this is a store for gamers and nerds, really, I guess more than anything, because that's where you can go. You can get your Funko Pops, you can get your nerd shirt, you can get some some figures, you can get some games. You can get some tech pieces because they usually sell iPhones there, and obviously video game systems. And then trade-ins more than anything. I think that's because, like, for you, I know you and Brody, I don't know so much about Miles, but like y'all get your games physically and then trade a bunch in to get whatever the next game is at GameStop.
I don't do that as much.
Right.
I hold on to my games more often than not, but sometimes there are games where it's like, hey, I've conquered this game.
Right.
I'm going to use it towards the next one.
Well, and see, I buy all mine digitally. So what happens for me is I eventually just move it off the hard drive, knowing that I can always download it back again. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this changes gaming and like frequency of sales, because the gamers who are more fiscally responsible, who already only get a couple games a month, but they usually trade those in to go towards the next one. How is that going to change? Because they're suddenly not going to be picking up as many games because they're having to wait longer. This should be really interesting to see. And this isn't to say that GameStop is going out of business tomorrow. Someone could buy them. GameStop might buy, or whoever. Walmart might buy them and incorporate them somehow. I wish it'd be cool if Amazon bought them and incorporated them somehow. That would be the ultimate thing. You know what they should do? You know what they should do?
What?
They should just go digital. Like, they should just go online. Like, what if GameFly and GameStop combined? You could order things online through a store, physical things, games, but then you could also do trade-ins through online. They'd have to work out the system for it, but GameFly already does, where you rent and you get it in the mail and then you just send it back when you're done. So I mean, I can't imagine it'd be that hard for them to adapt something different with trade-ins.
That's really what GameStop needs, is to have something to say in the digital conversation.
Yeah, that's an online presence. That's a free idea, GameStop. Take it and do what you will with it. There you go.
Or Disney can just buy them. They're buying everything else.
Yeah, they're buying everything else. They might as well. They finally bought Fox for $71 billion, was it? Crazy.
Fox said yes. It's not finalized, but Fox said yes. That's what it was.
See, I thought they had said yes a while ago, so I'm not sure what's happening anymore.
I don't either. I'm like, just buy it. Just say yes. Take the money.
All right. Well, the last bit of news we have is we're going to take a huge deep dive into Anthem. I'm pulling this from IGN. Brandon Tyrell is the one who wrote this article. Basically, it's 135 new facts about Anthem. So some of this may be overlapping with some stuff that they talked about at E3, but I was surprised by most of it. And it's really funny because a lot of it is like really dumb things. You'll understand in a minute. Like they're really dumb things. Like, this is gonna work this way, and you would think like, well, duh, it's gonna work. Like, that's how it works and everything else. But like, you don't really know that because this is a completely new thing. So what I was thinking, Steven, is I just would read through these, and then if there's one in particular that we want to stop and talk about, we can just stop and talk about it. So again, I'm reading this from IGN. Brandon Tyrell is who wrote this article. Here we go. All right, so this is about Anthem's story. So the name Anthem comes from the Anthem of Creation, which is a major element of the video game story, which I think they talked a little bit about that at the E3 conference there. That's kind of like, from what I understand in the story, that's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to find the Anthem of Creation.
Yes, because the gods left the world unfinished.
And it's supposed to, right, yeah, we're supposed to be able to affect the world. I'm really curious to see how that's going to go. Most of the consequences and changes that are going to happen in the game as a result of your actions and story progression will all take place in the Fort Taurus in order to maintain consistency for the world of players regardless of where they are in the story. So this is interesting because the Fort Taurus, that's like the one place that you can go. So like I can only go to my games one and you can only go to your games one. So the rest of the world is going to look the same regardless of if you've beaten the story and if you went one way and I went the other. But our forts are going to look and be completely different, which I'm really curious to see how that's going to go. But that's really it's also weird to me because I don't know. It almost makes me feel like those choices aren't going to matter. But I'm sure once we see how it's going to affect your fort, it may make you care.
I think the choices are going to affect more so the people than the characters.
Right.
Because there are two hubs. There's the Strider or whatever, and Fort Tarsus. And so you're going to see more of the consequences in your decisions there, while the world is something that you don't as much affect as it has a life of its own. Because the world changes over time. And I guess the consequences, what I'm saying, more so are going to be focused on the people rather than the world itself, so they can create a universal world where the world affects itself, you don't.
Right.
If that makes sense.
I'm curious to see how it's going to go. And then it says you will not leave Fort Taurus without being in a javelin. So if you're out of the fort, you're in a javelin. The main story will have a climax and a conclusion, but the game will continue after that. So that's
how MMO lights are.
Yeah, pretty much. Which I imagine also. So that goes along the lines of like Destiny. Obviously there's more to do afterwards, but the story will also continue through DLCs and expansions and stuff. So I imagine. The character will have a backstory that BioWare has not shared anything about. They'll do that later. So that's interesting. I wonder if that's something you're going to create yourself or if it's like if you're going to choose from 3 options or something or how that's going to work.
There is a character creator with hair and
some facial stuff, but no body. And that's actually a point here later. Anthem's main story will absolutely include... Wait, I'm sorry. Anthem's main story will absolutely include important non-player characters that you interact with during the story and beyond. So there will be other characters. The relationships in Anthem will focus on companionship and camaraderie of heroes and not romantic ones.
I'm so happy with that, honestly.
That doesn't really affect me at all. If you want romances, go play Assassin's Creed or Odyssey because they're going to be in that. So. It says romances could have happened and even can happen at some point after launch, but the decision to make it was just a design choice and not a technical limitation. So
more power to them.
I think it'd be interesting. I don't know. I just feel weird in a game where I'm going to be playing with you guys. Like in Destiny right now, if you told me I could have a relationship with Ikora Rey, I don't know what the point would be because I play the game with you guys. So like, it does.
It's like you're in your Strider and you're just like, oh hey guys, before we do this raid, let me go bang my pilot real quick. Like what benefit?
I don't understand what the point would be. Yeah. But I digress. Whatever. Story missions can be played with 1 to 4 people, meaning that you can play Anthem alone or with your friends, which is nice. Strongholds, which are Anthem's dungeon-like content, they're going to be solo-able, but
they're not going to be soloable.
I'm sorry, yes, they aren't going to be soloable. Yeah. I got so hung up on soloable. But you don't have to do them to complete the story. So that's going to be kind of like Strikes, it sounds like, in Destiny, where like you get a crew of 4 people. I'm going to skip that one because that's basically what I just said. There will be some kind of scoring mode for friendly competition in Stronghold. So there'll probably be rankings or something like that. No core plot points will be locked behind any paywall or download content, which I think it's interesting that they said core plot points, which makes me think there eventually will be story that's a DLC.
It'll probably be something like Destiny, where the core, let's say the core game for Destiny
is just the main story that you beat. Yeah,
it's the Red War.
Exactly.
With Gaul, And then there's like, oh, here's this stuff with Osiris that has nothing to do with the Red War, but it's its own isolated thing. That's probably what that means.
I think it is, which that still frustrates me because like I wanted to know the story with Osiris, so I bought the DLC and got it. But it's just I don't know. It's just kind of funny that they even said that. Your primary enemy in the story will be the Dominion, a human nation bent on subjugating the other people in the world. The Dominion believe that they can control the tools of the Shapers, that's the gods in this world, and bend them to their own purpose. The Dominion are an ancient enemy with a secret in their past. And they will have their own javelins, which is the next point. That's going to be interesting.
We haven't seen any javelin v javelin combat yet, and I'm excited for that.
That's going to be really cool. And I'm curious to know if they're going to be like are they going to have a Titan, but it just look in a different skin, or...
Yeah. Because MMO lights are generally like this, they probably will have like visual cues where it's like, oh, that guy's got a shield over his head. He's the tough one that takes the most damage. So it'll probably be a light class system for enemies.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, so we know of 4, and we'll get there in a second here, but it is rumored that there will be other ones potentially later. So I'm wondering if it'd be possible that the Dominion have maybe a 5th javelin type that we don't have yet,
or
that
maybe
may
all
come
their
to us
javelins
later.
are different.
I'm just curious.
Maybe they'll be added later.
I'm just talking out my head here. All right, you will be the central figure in your story's cutscenes, even when grouped with a squad. To elaborate on cutscenes while playing cooperatively, the players in your squad will not appear awkwardly standing around in your cutscenes.
I don't like that.
I know. However, all players will see the same cutscene for the same length of time so that no one's waiting on the other to finish a cutscene. So yeah, that's a big gripe that y'all have in Destiny, because the moments where your whole squad's coming in look so cool, but they don't ever use it for cutscenes or anything like that.
Yep, because it's just like, oh, here's this one character, even though it's a squad of people. Like,
right.
Show everybody. Just do it. It's not hard.
I feel like even if y'all were just and not I don't know. I feel like that's a lame leave out, but oh well. On missions, you'll focus on the action as opposed to conversationally branching. Your actions may affect things in the world, but in your hub, the conversations and interactions you have will definitely affect their lives. So kind of like what you were saying a minute ago, it's going to affect the people, not so much the world.
BioWare does character development really well, so I think it's smart for the conversation and the decision making to more affect people rather than a place.
Yeah. All right. So you will be able to replay story missions, once you finish them. The planet on which Anthem takes place has a name, but BioWare has not shared it. There will be some kind of in-game lore items to discover.
Love it.
So yeah, that's cool. Anything to create lore in the game. Yeah. Probably like diaries, like we see in Cade's Grimoires or whatever. That'll be really cool. And then it says there is a storage place for all this collected lore, so that's always cool, especially if it's going to be like weapons or stuff that you could like. I don't know if in the fort if you're going to have like a hub like that's your place, but like if you could have a trophy wall or something like that, that would be cool. I don't know if that's.
They said you will have an apartment of sorts.
Right. There is no friendly fire at the moment, which I think is an interesting choice. Probably a good choice in our case, but it's still interesting. Yeah. There is no PvP at launch.
Thank God.
And they clarify this. They say there are no plans for PvP after launch, but BioWare may look into it at some point after launch. And so they said the lack of PvP at launch allows BioWare to go broader on gear and weapons with less worry about balance.
That's the best thing I've heard all week.
Yeah, I know.
Well, aside from the Well of Radiance, but that's one of the best things I've heard all week.
Yeah, I'm really glad because it means they're not going to be worrying about balancing. Because to me, one of the most fun things about Destiny, there's so many cool things and weapons that you get, but a lot of them end up getting buffed or whatever because it's no fair for the PvP elements. Like the week when I forget what the gun was called, but it was a laser gun. It was a new one. I use it all the time. It was a solar. It was like Cold Heart, but it was solar.
Okay, I don't know that one.
It's like the Prism something. Anyway, it was like super OP when they released it. There was a glitch. And people were talking about it, but then it kind of became this fun thing. They called it laser tag in PvP because everybody was using that gun and it was just overpowered. And so at some point, Bungie kind of like grabbed the story and ran with it and was like, look, we know this glitch is here. We're going to leave it up for the next week or two. So this is the laser tag week now on PvP or whatever. And they like went with it, got all into it. And people had a lot of fun with it, but they eventually had to fix it because it was glitched. So I'm glad to hear they're not going to have to focus on that here.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip through a couple of these. It's going to require online connection, but it's going to have a dedicated server for each player hub, so it should be a lot stronger. There will be 4 players on a server in free play mode. So that's another thing. There might be a point on it later, but there's this free play mode where you can just explore, which should be really cool. There's a chance BioWare could raise the player limit in free play mode at some point in the future. There will be some sort of crafting in the game, but they haven't talked about that left. There is fall damage, so you can only fly for a certain amount of time. Your boosters will overheat, and then at that point you'll start crashing. And if you hit the ground too hard, that's where the fall damage comes in.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. It's nice that you can't fly forever. That gives it a little bit of something you have to think about. But, I don't know. Anyway. There will be a revive mechanic when one of your squad, they call it you freelancers, goes down. And then I don't really get what this is trying to say, but it says grieving players won't be able to block others from reviving down players.
So if a player has it out for you, he can't prevent another player from reviving you.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Or it says also you can wait for a team revive indefinitely, or you can opt to respawn at the last supply point that you had. Anthem will not pause in menus because other players are with you. There will be emotes, which I can't wait to see the robots do, like the Titan, or do emotes. BioWare is and will be trying to implement idle detection so that you can't be holding up your player teammates. There will be aim assist on game controllers, but they're currently working on that still. There is a breath meter when you're underwater, so you can't be underwater indefinitely. With regard to loot rarity, there will be 5 or 6 rarity levels of loot, which sounds crazy to me. Like, I just need 3. I don't need 6.
That's traditional because Division is white, green, blue, purple, yellow, orange, dark green. So
that's too much. I just need 1. But okay. Anyway. It says there will be no trading equipment with other players at launch in order to ensure control on balance, which I think is interesting, but all right. There's no paying for power in Anthem. The only thing you can purchase with real money is cosmetic stuff.
Good news.
It says the vanity items will be viewable before you buy, so there's no loot boxes. You just you look at it, you get it. While you're in the Javelin, you'll have a Cypher who is a human who interacts with you instead of an AI. So you'll still have that voice in your head or whatever, but it's going to be a person, not an AI. There will be, the game will be in first-person perspective when you're in the fort and Strider bases, but third-person perspective when you're in your Javelin. Yeah, they said they talked about how the hub areas, they want it to be super tight and claustrophobic, and for you to really be immersed in those areas.
It helps with the character interactions too, to be able to see their facial expressions.
It does, exactly, and they do. They're notorious for their facial recognition. There will be side quests outside of the main story. There will be a free play mode. If you see another squad, you can swoop in and help them with whatever they're doing, but it doesn't. You don't have to like squad up with them. Right now, they don't have any season pass planned, but there will be content after launch. Which I think is interesting. That either means they're going to do free content updates or you're going to have to pay for those expansions separately.
Probably both.
Yeah, I feel like it too. That's just such an interesting choice to not do a season pass, because I'd rather, at least if I love the game, and I'd rather just get a season pass and just pay one flat price for anything you're going to do over the next couple months or whatever. But maybe that's not financially stable for them. But they said there is no monthly subscription to play, so That's nice. There's no like battle pass or anything like that. BioWare wants to make sure that people can always play together and aren't fragmented. So they're saying like there's not going to be as much separation with content expansions. So that I'm curious to see how that's going to go. New story content, new game spaces, and post-launch content like that will be available for everyone. So that's exciting. There could be holiday and themes events, but they're still just kind of talking about that. BioWare isn't saying there will be no paid DLC after launch. For example, they said if they wanted to add a new Javelin, they may make that paid content, but they really aren't confirming anything there. There will be earnable in-game currency. There will be vendors at the fort, but no vendors outside the fort. There are no AI teammates. It's all just your crew that you've got working with you. There are something akin to notorious, bigger, badder, stronger monsters out in the world. So, like, there's going to be monsters that we fight. We've seen a little bit of that through some of the E3 trailers. Enemies will have weak spots. There will be rare items and equipment that will drop from specific encounters. There's a colorblind mode that's really cool. There's a day and night cycle. That's one of those like, well, duh, but it's still kind of like an interesting thing to know. Your inventory will be limited, but not so much that will be a burden. And then I'm just going to tell you right now, that's a bold-faced lie. I don't care how limited, like how large it is. If it's limited at any point, it will become a burden. Unless it is large enough to hold every item possible to hold in the game, where you literally, like, there is nothing else for you to grab in the world to put in your bag, and that's the limit, then yes, that's fine. That's when it won't be a burden, but I'm just telling you now, that's a lie. There will be both personalization of your Javelin and then of how it looks, and then also customization about how it plays. So that's important. A big Steven point there. Very good. Your freelancer, your pilot, will have progression levels that gives you perk abilities that apply to all Javelins. And additionally, you'll have better gear to give your Javelins to adjust how they play. This is kind of funny. There will be multiple genders for your pilot. I don't know what that means. Like, obviously male or female, but why multiple? Like, why not? I just don't know what that means. There. Yeah. I don't know if that means alien. I don't know what that means. You will be able to customize the face and hair of your freelancer, but not body. All personalization, cosmetic options in Anthem can be earned and unlocked through gameplay. So that's nice. I'm assuming what that means is like you can unlock everything, or you can just pay for it. Is what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't necessarily know how well I believe that, but that's what it sounds like. It does say, however, the Legion of Dawn edition, which is the $80 edition of the game, those cosmetic items will only be for the people who purchase that edition. The main version of the game gets you the Ranger version of that skin. But yeah. But it does say here, it says the weapons and gear that come with that Legion of Dawn pre-order will not be useful forever. Eventually, you're going to want to replace them and move on as you progress. So they'll probably be good for like the first third or the first half of the game, but eventually you're going to want to level them up or move on. Personalization skins for the Javelins will be reusable. So if you have one and you swap to another, you can go back to the original if you want, which is awesome because shaders, they took that away and it sucks. But now that's going to be cool. You will be able to customize your freelancer pilot through progression.
Interesting.
To make you, it says here to make you fly farther. So I don't know what that means. I assume kind of like it said earlier, you're going to be leveling up your pilot, and that's going to affect all your Javelins. So there's probably some elements like that, like hold breath longer and fly longer. And just very generic ability skill trees that you can do. Loot is spawned for everyone and is instanced. So there's no kill stealing or no loot theft in Anthem. Loot drops from enemies will show up near their bodies. Gear drops are based on your pilot level. If you play with a group of players with a higher level, your loot drops will still drop at your level. So if Steven is a level 20 and I'm a level 5, which is probably going to happen, Steven can't like boost me to level higher or have stronger gear. I'm still going to be going at my own pace. There will be lots of progression for better gear and weapons in the Elder game or the end game. The maximum character level balance is ongoing and is not set in stone yet. So what I get from that is there's not a level cap at this point.
Right.
There will be animals in the world of the big and scary variety, but there will be no pets. Now we're talking about javelins here. So the 4 javelins, the Ranger, the Colossus, the Storm, and the Interceptor. Those are the 4 that we know about right now. Each javelin type has their own symbol. Javelin symbols are left to right: Ranger, Colossus, Interceptor, Storm. You'll start with the Ranger javelin, and you unlock the other ones as you play through the story. You'll unlock the other javelins less than a quarter of the way through the game. You can unlock the javelins in any order by doing different missions. So I assume at some point you'll get all the missions to do all of those, and it's just which one do you want first. I'm going for probably the Storm or the Interceptor, personally. You're going to be happy with the Ranger, probably.
Probably. We'll see.
You can only have one of each javelin type per profile. So I can only have one. I'll keep one to call him Mage. One Storm and one Titan and nothing else. Players can use any javelins on their profile so that you never have to create a new character to change suits. Your team can consist of any combination of javelins. There's no requirements for specific roles. So if we all wanted to go Storm and just a full squad of Storm, we can do that. Javelin upgrades will mostly come through drops in the world. Most of your abilities are determined by your javelin's equipped gear. You will be able to change the gear based on what you've collected and craft. Each type of javelin will have its own super or ultimate attack. The javelin's ultimate ability will charge by damage output, but the rate at which it's charged is still being tuned. There will be loadouts for your javelin, so you can have different loadouts. While javelins have a melee attack, BioWare does not yet have a viable pure melee build, and likely won't at launch. So it sounds like to me they're possibly working on that. There may eventually be a javelin that's all melee, but right now they're not at that point. The Ranger has a shock mace as its melee weapon, but we haven't seen the other ones. Due to the size differences in the javelins, not all weapon types will be usable by all javelins. So the only real example they give of that is gear is specific to a javelin, but weapons have overlap with some restrictions. So the Colossus or the Titan can't use pistols, which is interesting. Right. And I imagine there's some like big rig gun that the Interceptor can't use, but the Colossus can.
Probably most of the Colossus's main weapons the Interceptor can't.
Yeah, probably none of them can, but anyway. All suits have different speeds and nimbleness, but out of combat, your javelins move at the same.
So that's interesting.
I know. I think that's really interesting because we're assuming the Interceptor, and we'll get here in a minute. We have no idea what he does, but he looks like he's going to be the fastest. But out of combat, we all fly the same speed, which is kind of lame, but it's interesting.
But that might be points for Brody actually playing the Colossus.
Yeah, I should have countered with that, but anyway. All suits will have different speed. Your javelin jets generate heat, and you'll need to land to dissipate the heat or find another way to cool off. So flying, we saw in the trailer flying through a waterfall, his heat went down. So if you can fly through a waterfall, that'll do that. When your javelin jets overheat, you'll crash, but you do have some control over that crash. Javelins will take damage and have different visual wear, but it won't affect damage output or anything like that.
That's really cool.
That is cool. You'll be picking up health to regenerate your javelin's HP, but there won't be like health regen. So like in Destiny, if you're out of combat for a little bit, you start to regain your health. This, you're gonna have to pick up health, which is cool. It's cool.
I don't know how that bodes for the potential of a heal build, like a heal.
I'll just go ahead and say this now. We don't know what the Interceptor is yet. It occurred to me the other day that it could be a healer.
That's what I thought. That's why I'm holding on for the Interceptor. See what it does.
I've been hoping it was going to be a melee build. We now know that it's probably not going to be a melee build. So the only thing that I see here that we're missing is somebody who's healing. So
if an Interceptor's a healer, I'm down.
I'll probably be Storm at that point, and Brody will probably end up going Colossus, even though he really wants to be Interceptor or Storm. So, let's see. So health drops, ammo drops. There will be resupply points where you can respawn at the respawn in the event of a party wipe. You can swap between any of your 4 Javelin suits you've unlocked at Fort Taurus or in your Strider, which is kind of like a mobile base. Yeah. There's no couch co-op at the moment. If you are at the same
moment, that's interesting.
I know it just says currently. I don't know. I doubt we see that come. That's probably just PR talk. I don't think they're probably working on that. But anyway, if you are at the same place in the story, you'll get full credit for joining a friend's instance of that story.
That's great.
And if you finish the mission, if you've already finished the mission, you'll get a special reward for mentoring a player through it. So that's cool. Because you and Brody in Destiny had played through the whole story way before me, and you guys were just starting a new character when you jumped in with me. So that's really cool that you could pick, like you could make, which obviously with this you're only making one character, but you know, you can replay missions with other people and get rewarded. I think that's awesome. All content in Anthem will have matchmaking, so like the strongholds we talked about earlier, you can get that. You will be able to control how open the matchmaking system is.
Fantastic.
It's going to limit how randomly you can get put with people. Cooperative play will share progress with all its players when completing it together. Voice communication will be in the game, but BioWare wants most of the content to be doable by groups who are only coordinating through in-game means. However, plans aren't locked regarding in-game moderation for players who abuse or harass each other over voice comms. So there will be tools for helping with online harassment. Leaders of the squad can kick any unwanted players from the group at any time. If you opt to join a player starting an activity while you're in free play mode, you will fast travel to the start of that mission, so you don't have to fly there and meet them. This is just some kind of I guess this is I'm going to skip over this technical specs because it's just talking about it's going to run at 30 frames and, you know, you can do whatever, and PC players are going to have this, and that. All right, so here's some last ones. There will likely be nods to other BioWare franchises in Anthem, which is pretty, again, kind of okay. The people playing the EA play demo of Anthem were experts who had been practicing that run for months. All that to say, Strongholds, the content that we saw in that demo, will be very hard. So they made it look easy, but those are apparently going to be hard. Your pilot's feet rest on the knees of your javelin, just in case you were wondering how that worked, which I have been, because it's like backwards. This is funny. BioWare's hiring, so if you're an aspiring game creator, you might want to hit up BioWare. There's no Anthem merchandise announced yet, but stay tuned. They had T-shirts at E3 that I want to buy. I literally, while watching some news, I saw like the white with like the triangle, and it's got all the Titans or all the javelins in it. I was like, I need this shirt, and I Googled it. I went to the Anthem's official website. I could not find anything. As soon as I find it, I'm buying it because it was a great shirt.
Tell me, because I'll buy it too.
And then last but not least, there's no slider to adjust cleavage in Anthem. So there you go. I assume that's in BioWare's. You can do that to your character, but anyway.
Yes.
So, anywho, very cool. I'm so excited for that game. Pretty much everything they listed there, I'm excited about. I'm just ready to see more. I'm ready to play more. It's going to be a great game. So
excited, yeah.
Well, hey everybody, thanks for tuning into this episode of ChortleCast. We do hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, there's a few things you can do to help us out. Number one, if you're watching on YouTube, you're already at chortlegames.com, and you can leave us a comment on this video. Give it a like. And if you like what you see, we do this every Friday. So you can subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can see us all the time. If you're a podcast listener listening to us through audio, you can, you're probably doing that through iTunes. Leave us a nice little review. Let us know what you thought of the show. That helps us get found on iTunes. You can also email us at chortlecast@gmail.com. If you have a topic of the show you'd like to hear us talk about, or if you have a news story that you heard about this week that you'd love to hear our opinions on, you can send us those through that channel. And then, of course, you can always contact us on social media. We have Twitter at ChortleGames, Facebook at ChortleGames, and then we have a Discord that'll be in the description of this video. So you can find us there. We're pretty active in that. We usually share when we're going live, and then we'll ask topics about, like, what games do you want to see us stream on the weekends and stuff like that. So we've got a small crew of our followers, subs in there. So go hang out with the Chortle fam. And that's it. I think that's it. So, Steven, thank you for participating as always. We've got another great week of content coming tonight. So Friday, me and Steven actually, I will be streaming probably. I'm still kind of working on what I'm gonna do. I've thought about Shadow of War. Some people have talked about that. Some people requested I continue my stream of the Octo expansion. But then I also just found out that the Captain Toad Switch game that's coming, like in July, just got a free demo. So I may stream that. I don't know what's going to happen yet. But I'll be streaming tonight, probably around 6 or 7, maybe a little later, depending on how that goes. But it'll be just me for that first one. Maybe Lee Allison will join me. And then after that, after Steven gets done with Dodgeball, we will be streaming Far Cry fan-made maps. So if you're a fan of Far Cry, if you've made some maps in the arcade creator mode, or if you've played a really cool arcade map in the arcade mode that you'd like to see us play, that's what we're doing. So you can leave that comment in this video. You can tweet it to us, jump in the Discord and let us know. Steven will get that, and we'll play through that. And then Saturday, we do 2 streams. Right now, we're planning to do some Destiny, and we're planning to do some Killing Floor 2 with our brother channel, I guess is what we're calling them now, Friendly Fire Games. So be sure to hang out with that. And then next week's content, we have a Let's Play on Monday. Steven is continuing XCOM, but this may be the last. This is like one of the last 2 XCOM streams.
We're in the last 2. Final stretch.
So Tuesday is the XCOM series, so you want to check that out, see how that conclusion happens. Then we'll have a Let's Play on Wednesday. We're going to do couch co-op on Thursdays. This is what we always do, couch co-op. At the rate we're going, it might be Destiny again, but who knows? That's what we did last night for couch co-op, so be sure to hang in for that. And then next Friday, we'll have another podcast for you, 2 streams on Friday. And next Saturday in particular is going to be kind of weird, so we may have some streams there. We may push some streams to Sunday, so just stay tuned for what's going to happen there. So anyway, well, Steven, thank you for showing up and being here and talking some games with me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it as always. Mm-hmm. It's always fun. We always have fun here on the Chortle.
We do.
On ChortleCast. Steven, do we have any closing thoughts for the good people listening?
I'm not angry or tired. I just look that way right now.
And on that note, we're out. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.